Can you believe it? It's Spurs game day today. Spurs Mavericks. Let's preview tonight's matchup.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Hope you're all ready for some Spurs action. Not a preseason game, not a practice, not a scrimmage, the real deal. Yes, we're going to be discussing the Spurs and the Mavericks. Spurs opener is tonight up in Dallas. Yes, on the road, but should be a good game. We're going to be dissecting this game, looking at keys to victory. What should we expect from this Spurs team on day one of the new season? We're going to be discussing that and more with our guest, Raul Flores of the AP Sports Radio. He'll be on in just a few seconds. But as always, we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts. iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube. Seriously, go anywhere you find your favorite podcast. More than likely, Locked On Spurs will be there. Just hit a subscription. Hey, we also got newsletters. So it'll be in the description below right here on YouTube. But there is the link there. Go subscribe to it. It's completely free. Check it out. I am very happy that they brought this on board. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You want to go to FanDuel right now to start the season with a big return only on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. So yeah, Spurs basketball is tonight. Wemby's in action. Steph is going to get some burn. We'll see how. Remember, he wanted to take on Luka. That's what he said. He wanted to take on Luka. So we'll see how the rookie does against that guy. It should be a good game. And again, Spurs action is back. It is just game one. You know, we'll see how quickly this team will gel. Chris Paul, a couple other guys did say during the preseason that they were still working on chemistry issues. We'll see if that still is going to be an issue in day one tonight in Dallas. But yes, so many storylines in tonight's game, so many X's and O's, what to expect, what can we look forward to? Let's go and dive into it already with our guest, Raul Flores of the AP Sports Radio. There's Raul rocking the Dodgers uniform. See that? Yeah. And tribute to Fernando Valenzuela too, right?
Yeah, that's the reason I'm wearing it today. You know, we learned a couple of days ago that Fernando passed away. I know he had some health issues, had stepped away from the broadcasting booth earlier this season, or late in the season, early October, late September, early October, and nobody really said anything. And then, you know, turns out that he had some health issues that ultimately took his life. And so, you know, kind of sad as we prepare for the World Series to kick off, you know, tomorrow night. And, you know, sad that Fernando won't be a part of it.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure they'll make a nice tribute to him sometime during the series, not game one. Also, too, ties to San Antonio. He played with the Missions.
Absolutely. I got to meet him, actually, when he was here with the San Antonio Missions out at VJ Keefe Field. You know, we'd get to go sit right by the bullpen, which really wasn't a bullpen. It's just, you know, on the left field, you know, foul territory. And they had some benches out there, and we'd get to go sit with the guys. Met Steve Howe and got to see Oral Hershiser and obviously El Torito. You know, Fernando Valenzuela.
Absolutely. As for the World Series itself, I lived in New York for nearly 20 years, so I think you know I'm going to go for it. Them Yankees. Sorry to break it in. Sorry, everybody. Sorry. I know. There's Raul. Again, look at that flash of the LA Dodgers there. Follow him on X at RawFlow64. You see it on your screen. Again, he works with the AP Sports Radio, and he sits with me during the press conferences, post game. We chit chat a lot about your silver and black. But Raul, game day, not a preseason game, not a scrimmage. The real deal begins tonight in Dallas. Let's dive into it. Before we get into keys to a win, maybe some X's and O's talk. Just what are you expecting from this team? What do you want to see on the court tonight out in Dallas?
You know, it's a tough matchup. You're talking about a team that's coming off of a finals appearance 50 wins last year, a 12-game upgrade from the previous season. They go out and add Klay Thompson. And it's funny because I always break down players' careers in three segments. You start with, from the time that they're drafted to the time they're around 25, 26 is the early part of their their career. 27, 28 to around 32, 33 is the prime of their career. So you look at Klay, biggest addition to the Mavericks this year, Klay Thompson, and he's kind of on the
decline. Yeah,
his prime years ending. That said, I think that team got a little bit stronger by adding his outside shooting, and so I think it's a tough challenge for opening night for the Spurs. Like you mentioned at the start of the show, the gelling of this team, it's going to take a little bit. Yeah. They go out and add Chris Paul, who's a seasoned veteran, and then they go and add Harrison Barnes. And I think those two guys are going to provide some leadership. You look at what Harrison and we know what Chris Paul can do. He's proven it time and time again. And yeah, he's 39, entering his 20 plus season, but I think he still has a lot of game in him. The one that I'm not sold on it yet. I have to see him and see what he's going to do, and that's Harrison Barnes. He put up a career best 19.2 points in 2017 season with the Mavericks, and then his numbers have just dwindled down year after year. And granted, he's in a new role, or he was in a new role when he went to the Sacramento Kings.
Right.
But if you're not scoring, then you should see an uptick in some of the other categories: assists, rebounds, steals, or whatever.
Yeah.
And all those have declined year after year. He's never been much of a predominant defender per se with any number of steals. So what I think he's going to bring is an attitude of how to handle tight game situations. And that's where the Spurs struggled last year. They build up a big lead, and then they'd see it dwindle away. And I think a lot of that had to do with youth. So I think what Harrison is where he's going to be most valuable is late in games, whether he's in the game or whether he's talking to the guys. Whether he's teaching or playing. It's how to hold on to those leads, how to keep your composure, how not to get frazzled. So you can't. That's not a tangible thing, but you can. That's what he can partake on the team, the younger guys. So
yeah, and you hit it on the head too. I'm expecting maybe some bumps along the road starting tonight because of the chemistry. Chris Paul mentioned it during training camp. I even talked to Paul during media day when he was up on that stage. I said, well, what do you think this team needs? And he said it right off the bat. He said, this team needs calmness. It needs calmness. And the Spurs are going to have an adjustment period to Chris Paul's. Well, I don't know if he's calm on the court. He can be feisty. But, but when you look at last season, they lost approximately about 28 games in crunch time. 28 games. And we saw that. I think there was a game, I believe it was with, I think it was either the Knicks or it was just one of the late season games when they were kind of on their surge, and you saw them go into overtime, and then they really stumbled. You just really couldn't get things to close out.
If they win 60% of those games, down crunch time, or even 50%, you're talking about somewhere between 36 and 40 wins, which is a big improvement over the previous year. But coming into the season with 22 wins last year, you can't go anywhere but up.
Hey, I want to talk to you about Game Time. Go to gametime.co right now. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets easier for your favorite live events that much better. Game Time filters out the fluff, so you only get incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets. Hey, Game Time has it all. They have the super deal. They got seats view before you buy. They got curated deals to make it easier to find the best price on great seats. the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. You will be pleasantly surprised with this app. Go get it right now. Game time picks. Again, that's a curation that makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater. Hey, they have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time. Hey, I want to talk to you about Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. Go there right now. San Antonio, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. Open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have it all. Great menu, cold drinks, hot drinks, coffee, the signature drink, Mudslinger, iced lattes. Pick something you're craving. They'll have it. Check out the menu. A proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs and a proud community member serving San Antonio the best coffee in the city. Go there right now. Open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have the Lightning Bolt series, which includes the Alien, which is a drink made in honor of Victor Wembanyama. You got to try it. Speaking of which, hey, they have these drinks, like I was mentioned right now, the Lightning Bolt series. They're going to be containing Lotus Energy. That's 7 power plant extracts. That gives them flexibility to create new drinks. But if you want Red Bull, you just tell them and they'll put it in there. But the default will be Lotus Energy. Go there right now, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. They even got mini donuts. Best spot in the city to get yourself some coffee. Go there right now. San Antonio, follow them on social media at Mudslinger SATX. Go there right now because life is too short for bland coffee.
This is Emilio Rivera, El Padrino for the Mayans MC. You are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Yeah.
Which is a great thing, and I think we're going to see an improvement. But I think fans need to keep in mind that it's going to take a little bit to gel, because you've got 2 new additions that are going to be prominent players in the lineup. Victor's going to be Victor.
Oh yeah,
he is what he is, and I think he's only gotten better. He proved that in the Olympics over the summer, and his mindset is what I really appreciate about him. It's that mindset to just want to improve and get better and win games. It's a mindset similar to what Manu had, and they're going to give you 100% of the time. And that's crucial. And you can't teach that. There's some players that have it, and some players that, that they know when to slow it down a little bit or not keep that motor running. Manu only had one switch on.
Yeah.
And I think Wemby has that same motor where it's just, one speed on.
Yeah, exactly. And, looking at tonight's game though, am I expecting some chemistry stuff to get used to? Sure. But I mean, I think all teams are going to go through that, unless you're the Boston Celtics, who decided to just destroyed the Knicks a couple days ago. But most teams should be seeing the first few games as an adjustment period. But the thing with the Spurs though, starting tonight, they got Dallas, and then their next 3 games is rough. They got Houston, and then the Thunder. So they're kind of going to have to fast track some of this chemistry issues to get in the pay. Can you imagine? Knock on wood, it doesn't happen. I hope it doesn't happen. But 0-4 to start the season would not be a good look for this team.
No. I think they split. I think they split with
Houston.
With Houston.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think they've got Oklahoma's number.
Okay.
I think they match up. I think they match up well with the Thunder.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens there. But as far as tonight, Dallas is just, I was looking at their roster and I was thinking, man, they've got a bunch of, just average guys, but they blend well together. And I think when you bring in one new guy like Clay, I think he's been around long enough that, he's going to be Clay. He's probably going to struggle to start off with because he's never known anything except the Warriors. So.
Yeah, I hope the Spurs are not going to be his shooting streak or slump buster, because he's been shooting poorly throughout the preseason. The last thing he needs to see this guy just catch on fire tonight versus the Spurs. Yeah. Knowing the Spurs luck, that could happen. So I'm keeping an eye on that. Now, one question I do have about tonight's game, Spurs Mavericks, is that defense. We saw last season how many players just went off from the 3 line. I mean, it was like almost every night. It was like insert player name had career night from 3. Insert team record night versus from 3. I want to see how the perimeter defense. I'm not too worried about the interior defense just because they got the human eraser, Wemby.
Right.
But will Castle step up? Will Blake Wesley bring that improved defense? Will Sohan continue to be an irritant? Will Sohan and Luka get into it? Because Sohan is just playing feisty versus Luka. I want to see how they control that perimeter tonight versus Dallas. And also, too, look, Castle, you wanted Luka. I hope Pop lets him have it. Get his welcome to the NBA moment out of the way. Just get it out of the way tonight. Look, and if Luka cooks him, no shame. Luka cooks everybody. That's just who he is. But let's just see what the kid can do versus arguably one of the best perimeter players in the NBA with Luka Doncic. So that's a question I want to see. The perimeter defense, and then Steph, Castle, and Luka.
If there's any silver lining in Vassell, being injured and missing the first part of the season, is that it's going to give Pop the chance to throw in Castle and, just let him get his bumps and bruises and get that experience. It's a faster game than what he's used to in college. He's gotten a little bit of taste of it in the preseason. Granted, it's a, relatively shorter preseason than what players are used to, but it is what it is. And I think the thing with like Sohan and Wesley and those guys, they've been in the Pop system now for a couple of years. Keldon. And with Pop's defense, it's about the rotations, and you can't stop for a split second, because if you're rotating and you let off for a second or a second and a half, that, as the, like you said, the perimeter shooting, then you're not on that player. And inevitably a player's always going to get open, on the corner or whatever. And that's every team.
Right.
But if you're putting pressure, I'd rather see a hand in the face or a charge at the player than a wide open look in the corner. Showing that you're getting there to that spot.
Sure. Yeah, and you were talking about shooting from the perimeter. The Spurs got a lockdown on that. You had a joke about Klay Thompson. Watch him break his slump tonight versus the Spurs. But keeping with that shooting theme, I want to see how Champagnie is going to do in the starting role. More than likely, he's likely going to get the start. Look, if y'all been paying attention to preseason basketball and wondering, what's the starting lineup? And Pop already told you. It's pretty obvious what the starting 5 will be, and Champagnie will be it until Devin Vassell comes back. I got to see if he's going to keep on doing what he did in the preseason, playing well, averaging over double digits scoring, just really was a threat outside. I got to see that tonight versus Dallas, because, look, I'm not going to knock Julian. Fantastic preseason. Good job, A+. But that was preseason, and teams were throwing out their fringe players, their G Leaguers. They weren't playing the big boys. Dallas going to be playing the big boys tonight. Let's see if Champagnie can do that, that hot shooting, that hot streak that he has tonight in Dallas. What about you, Raul?
Yeah, at the season before this past season, man, I was so high on Champagnie when they brought him in, and I thought he was going to have a breakout year last year. Then it just turned into a mediocre season, and I think that was just kind of a reflection of the team as a whole. But I think he's one of those players that can break out. He's a better than average defender, with long arms, and I think his shooting from the outside, like you said, once he gets in a rhythm, he's pretty solid. So that's going to be the key. I don't know how his mental game works. But we've seen that when he misses a shot, then he gets into this rut where he's missing shot after shot after shot.
Yeah.
He's got to get, like you said, he's got to get in that streak of, just start firing away. He's not afraid to shoot it.
Yeah.
But, I'm sure it's in the back of his mind. I missed the last one. I hope I don't miss this one. And he misses it.
Hey, let's talk about Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Right now, you can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get on the action in sports in most states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. And Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. Prize Picks invented the flex pay, which means you'll still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Hey, look, Prize Picks is fun. It's simple. You'll enjoy having the experience of playing the game. I know I do. You will too. And yeah, download that Prize Picks app right now. Go use code LOCKEDONNBA and get yourself $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNBA on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game.
This is Zach Aguilar, the voice of Tanjiro Kamado, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Well, last season, he and we had a long conversation about, him working on his shot, and he, was just talking, glowing about the Spurs practice facility, the behind the scenes stuff that we don't get to see when it comes to shooting mechanics. A lot of the Spurs players are giving praise to the new shooting coach. So hopefully that's a byproduct of Champagne's work, and it starts tonight in Dallas. Once again, we're talking with Raul Flores. He's with the AP Sports Radio. Make sure to follow him on X at Raffalo64. And we're looking at tonight's game, Spurs and Dallas. Yes, there's actually a real game tonight as the Spurs take on the interstate rival there. Another question I have, Raul, is, I think Wemby's the obvious, so I'm trying to avoid that. Wemby, like you said, Wemby's going to be Wemby. But just keeping with that thread of Wemby, his new running mate, Chris Paul, how much is he going to really calm down this team? And I think that's an obvious answer. That's going to be yes. But another thing I'm curious to see is not only the calming force and maybe, sometimes the feistiness that he shows. Chris Paul is a competitor, but how many lobs he's going to get tonight versus with Wemby? I want to see that. Get the lob count going, Raul. Get it going right now.
Yeah, Lob City 2.0. Yeah, no, I think what Chris Paul brings is structure.
Yeah.
He's a, when it comes down to basketball, he's a no frills kind of guy. He's like, hey, let's get it done. And yeah, he'll joke around with the guys and eventually they'll have that camaraderie. But, for him, his window is closing fast. And so he wants, and he's a competitor. He wants to win. You talk about that feistiness that he has.
Feistier, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's feisty, and he'll bump bodies with anybody on the court. So I think that bringing that structure of basketball fundamentals with that fire, I think is gonna rub off on some of the younger players, and it's a good thing.
No, it absolutely is. It absolutely is a good thing because this is exactly what they needed. We saw that last season. I mean, it was just obvious there was not that for general. So Chris Paul is going to fill that void. But yeah, I can already see it coming already. Spurs fans on social media with a lob counter, 1 lob, 2, kind of like what you do in baseball with the strikeout counter with the K. Just do L or not L because that's a bad omen. We'll just say lob. We'll say lob. LOB. Yeah, LOB. How many lobs is Chris Paul?
Not left on base.
Not left on base. Yeah, exactly. Not left on base. Again, we're talking about the Spurs and Mavericks tonight. They get things going for their start of the regular season tonight in Dallas. And in case you're wondering, Spurs will open up the home opener this Saturday, but that's for another episode of Locked On Spurs. Other expectations I have or questions I have about tonight's game, how about this? I'm watching for this. the second unit. I think when Vassell comes back, this Spurs team could have one of the better second units in the league. Just listen to this. Just off the bench. Again, when Vassell comes back, it's Champagny, Keldon, Trey, Blake, Zach, Mamu. Who am I missing? CD, depending on how many minutes he gets, I don't know. Yeah. He's probably be at the end of the bench. The Bassey, you didn't mention Bassey. Steph Castle, we mentioned him too. This team could have a potent second unit, and we get a first glimpse of that tonight in Dallas.
Yeah. So you look at, throughout the years, Pop is always, he's always professed a strong bench. Going back to the first championship. And that's what either keeps you in games or even gets you the lead. And so that your starters come in at the end of the game, or your regulars come in at the end of the game. In the case of Manu,
right?
He may not have started a lot of games, but he was finishing almost every game. But the bench is going to be crucial to the success of the team this year. And again, with the leadership of Harrison Barnes and Chris Paul, getting those guys in the right frame of mind. And, it's so much easier said than done. And it's so easy to be a coach, from the couch and, why aren't they doing this or why aren't they? And it starts with the mindset. And Pop preaches that, you got to constantly be thinking, a lot of people just see the game as just a bunch of athletes that go out there and play. But you look at the successful teams and there is, there has to be some thinking process to it. And so when you've got those guys coming off the bench, knowing what their roles are and executing those, you look at any NBA roster, take away the superstars of the league. Everybody else is in the league because they're good enough, except Bronny. But that's a different story.
Shots fired, everybody.
That everybody's in the league because they're good enough to be in the league. But in order to stay in the league, you have to execute, and you can't just rely on your raw talent, your athletic skills. What's going to separate you from the next guy, and that's the ability to be thinking on the court at all times. Where do I need to be? Where do I need to go? Who do I need to pass to? When do I take the shot? And it's split second decisions. And
for sure.
So, I think Harrison, again, I think that's where Harrison Barnes is going to be the most valuable to this team. And it's going to be stuff that we don't see. It's going to be in the practice.
I don't think the Spurs are expecting. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, my mistake. I'm sorry. We had a little glitch there, but I don't think the Spurs are expecting Harrison Barnes to be Golden State Harrison Barnes or Sacramento early. No. I think they just need him to be that steady force. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Yeah, he doesn't have to drop 20 and 10 every night. Just to be on that court, as you mentioned. But I mean, again, obviously doesn't help that Spurs, they're taking on the defending Western Conference champs tonight in Dallas. But I think it's a good test. I think, look, throw this team into the fire early. I'm fine with it. Throw them for fire. Let's see what they're made of. If they get stomped tonight, so be it. They play a close game and lose it. Hey, I'll take it. Obviously, I want them to win, but it's a tall task. Derek Lively, tends to really get up for games versus Wemby. Obviously, Luka, for those of y'all, seriously, go and look at his stats versus the Spurs. It's a near triple-double every time he plays.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, he's a near triple-double against everybody. But
everybody, exactly.
Yeah, but he shines against the Spurs, and he shines in those spotlight moments. But you mentioned Derek Lively. Derek Lively, he's going to give, Wemby, some headaches tonight.
We saw it last season. Remember?
Lively his debut last year, 16 and 10. I remember the chatter after that game. Oh, the Spurs drafted the wrong guy.
Oh, please,
come on, please.
You're
talking about Derek Lively.
Just one game.
He had a good debut breakout game. But at the end of the year, we know how that ended.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Got Derek Lively slander here on Locked On Spurs. Sorry, Mavericks fans. But regardless, look, the Spurs also do not have recent history on their side tonight versus the Mavericks. Overall, Raul, this Spurs team has lost 4 straight versus the Mavericks. Away in Dallas tonight, they've lost 2 straight. So recent history has not been kind for the Spurs. And let's look at some of the last season stats between these two teams. I got them pulled up here. There we go. So these are last season stats here. You can see Dallas just putting up numbers. Spurs weren't that far from them, though. I mean, it's just like 5 points. You look at
it's a 2 possession game right there.
That's a 2 possession game right there. Yep. But also you look at where the big discrepancy is but not even that. I mean, look at the opponent's points per game they gave up last season. It was close again. So not like Dallas is a good defensive juggernaut. Look at that. They were ranked 20th in the NBA last season. But the Spurs were ranked 24. Yeah.
And I was thinking about this today as we were preparing for Locked On Spurs, and Dallas, any team that's in the playoffs or is making a playoff run, or making a run to get into the playoffs, so many things have to fall into place at the right place, right time. And that's every year, every team. Things just have to bounce. The ball has to bounce your way time after time after time. Last year, you look at Dallas, they won 12 of their last 13 games, or down the stretch. They won 12 of 13. They lost the last 2, but they had already locked in their position, and the starters didn't play those last 2 games. I think they lost to Portland and Detroit or something like that. But they made a run. They got hot at the right time, and then they got hot throughout the playoffs, and then they just met a superior Boston team in the finals. But so many things have to fall into place during that stretch for you to get to the finals. So they're coming off of that. They know what they can do. They know what they're capable of. And on paper, even though those stats seem pretty tight, on paper, I would say Dallas is probably a stronger team from an experience standpoint too. You look at the take out,
and that's exactly what the Spurs team lacks. Is just experience, Raul. That's it. That's what they lack.
Yeah. You take out Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes, and who's the third oldest player on the team? Maybe Mamu. Keldon would be the oldest.
So it's,
I don't know.
Well, longest tenured is Keldon, but let me review that again. So it's Barnes, Chris Paul as the oldest, sure.
Right.
Going up and down that roster.
Zach Collins.
Oh, Zach.
Zach Collins would be the third oldest player.
Yeah.
And after that,
that's a drop off. Yeah.
You're talking about 23 and younger.
I looked at Sohan's age recently, Raul.
What's that?
And I looked at Sohan's age recently. I forgot he's 21 years old.
Yeah.
He's just now legal to drink. Yeah. So at least in the United States, I don't know how they do it in Poland, but nevertheless, it's still a young team and they lack talent. I want to go back to the stats from last season. Yeah, right. It was very tight if you just do statistic wise. But I mean, just look where the Mavericks just were better than the Spurs, valuing the ball. They were ranked 4th in the NBA. The minimal turnover is 12, while the Spurs near the bottom, they coughed it up. You look at the offense, obviously the Spurs weren't an offensive juggernaut team, ranked 23rd, and the Dallas ranked 7th. You go a little deeper than that. They connected on more threes just by percentage points. So it's the little things. It comes down to the little things. And that's what we'll get into it already now because I think we're getting up to it to the clock already. Keys to wins. A key for me to the Spurs get the W tonight is keep it close. Just keep it close. Fight, scrap, whatever you got to do. Take Dallas to that 4th period. And then let's see, the veterans, Chris Paul and Barnes, come in and calm the force down. I think those guys could be enough to push the Spurs team to get an upset win in Dallas. So one key is they got to keep it close. Don't let that fan crowd in Dallas get to them.
Right.
Don't let the bright lights get to them. It's going to be on national TV. Dallas is going to be up for that. I don't know if they're going to raise a Western Conference Championship banner. They might. So Dallas will be hyped. Yeah. Luka's going to be Luka. So just keep it tight.
Yeah. If you keep it tight against anybody down the stretch, you keep yourself in those games, and it's anybody's game. If you're within 2 baskets in the final 45 seconds, or three baskets in the final 45 seconds, you're in the game.
Yeah.
And again, how does the ball bounce? How does it come off the rim on a shot, and who gets a rebound? It's those, like you said, those little things that you might not be able to track statistically.
Yeah.
But you get that ball to bounce your way, and you keep yourself in the game by keeping it tight. Yeah. It's anybody's game.
Yeah. Another key for Spurs win tonight is somebody help Wemby. Wemby's going to get his. He's going to get his 20 whatever and his 10 plus rebounds and his gajillion blocks, probably break the record in one game tonight. But, I'm exaggerating. We know Wemby's going to be Wemby, but who's going to step up to help him out? Will it be Champagne's house shooting? Devin's not playing tonight, so somebody's got to step up. Will it be Keldon off that bench? So that's a key to victory. I need somebody to step up, or not, just collectively as a committee. Everybody just do their part to help Wemby. Because on the Dallas side, if Luka's having an off night, they only got Kyrie Irving next to him. Yeah, that's all. A known Spurs killer in his history. So Dallas can't afford if Kyrie's having an off game or Dallas is having an off game tonight. Right. Spurs can't. I can see Dallas just swarming Wemby and daring everybody else to kill him, to try to kill Dallas.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. You nailed it. Nailed it on the head. These guys have to, rally around Victor and give him that supporting cast that he needs, because he's not going to be on 82 games.
Yeah.
He's going to have some off nights. And so
for sure,
players are going to have to step up, and again, I'm excited to see what Castle can do in these first, 4 or 5 games that before Devin comes back. And I haven't even heard an update on Devin. I initially it was, the first week of the season.
Yeah. I was told they're projecting November 1. So
November 1, which is a week into the year, week into the season.
Yeah. So it's not like he's out for a handful of games. What is that, like 3-4 games, something like that?
Yeah.
So it's not terrible, but nevertheless, hey.
Yeah, but if you get Castle, playing against Dallas, Houston twice, and Oklahoma, that'll be a good test for him. And
for sure,
maybe you and I watched that preseason game where he showed us some flashes.
He did. We were there.
Once he starts feeling more comfortable out there, I think Spurs fans are going to really be surprised. I know that he wasn't necessarily the fan favorite to be the pick for the Spurs, but I think he's growing on people, and he's going to surprise a lot of people with his ability and play. And
I think so too. I'm with you too. Would not be surprised ultimately if the Spurs do get Wemby some help, that it comes from the rookie. Would not be surprised at all. But you look at the game, and it's going to be a tough test for the Spurs. But I'm about it. Let these kids learn right away. Throw them into the fire and let CP3 rise to the leadership role that he's going to embrace. Even though he says he's not a coach, but he does say he does embrace the mentor side of things. Let him embrace that. Let's see what these guys can do. But it's going to be a tough matchup tonight. But I'm pretty sure Raul and I will have you covered right here on Locked On Spurs or on his neck of the woods with the AP Sports Radio. And by the way, Castle, I doubt you're listening, but if you are, you wanted Luka, you got him tonight. And by the way, you might have Shea. You're going to have Shea in a few days. You can have those young kids in Houston, the green, and
Yeah.
Have fun, Castle. That's what they pay you, the big bucks, not
make us
me.
proud, Castle. Make us proud.
Yeah, make us proud. Yeah. They pay you the big bucks, not me and Raul.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, before I let you go, Raul, congratulations! 38 years covering the Spurs. Is that right?
Yeah, this is the start of my 38th season, which is crazy to think about. In one form or fashion, it started out with the Associated Press, and then I moved over to Associated Press Radio several years ago. And it's just, it's a childhood dream to, you grow up. I was at the very first Spurs game, and so I became a Spurs fan right off the bat. And then to, a few years later, be covering them as a writer, and then as a correspondent for the Associated Press. It's kind of neat. I do want to take a moment to mention, if anybody remembers the games over at Hemisphere Arena, they used to have a live band playing.
Yep,
they had a live band playing, and that was conducted by Al Sturchio and the Sound of the Spurs.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Sadly, Mr. Sturchio passed away this week, a couple of days ago. So my condolences to his family, his loved ones, his friends. May he rest in peace. But man, that guy was a fixture. That guy was a fixture at Hemisphere Arena with the Sound of the Spurs. And my favorite memory of that orchestra playing up there, live music, was at the start of the fourth quarter. The switch from the third to the fourth quarter, they'd play Volver, Volver. And Big George, he'd be waving that big giant Texas flag, and Volver, Volver was playing, and everybody in the crowd would just chime in when the chorus of the song came up. Just to hear that arena, everybody in chorus. Condolences to Al Sturchio, leader of the Sound of the Spurs.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong here. I do remember Sturchio in the band. I saw them or heard them play in the Hemisphere. Mm-hmm. So, but didn't he go over to the Jim Cullum band? What does that sound familiar to me?
Yeah, I don't believe so. He was president of an organization called Texas Bandmasters. And they did a lot of stuff with the high school bands and stuff. I know that he worked for Hondo ISD for a while, and then SAISD. Okay. He was always involved in the music scene in San Antonio, band music. So all his kids came up through band. I know his one of his daughters, Tina, she was at Jefferson, and she was in band, and they just it was definitely a band family. And he's he was very involved in the local high school band scene.
Yeah. The Sturchio band at the Hemisphere, they played in the Upper Bowl. Why do I remember that? They were in the Upper Bowl?
There was like a little landing strip,
right?
At behind one of the baskets.
Yes,
probably about 30 rows up.
Yep.
And it was just a flat landing up there, and the band would entertain the folks with live music.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do remember. Wow, I'm getting flashbacks of Hemisphere right now. I can hear it right now in my head. I can hear it in my mind. I can see it in my mind's eye right now, where they're playing, sitting down, looking up to my right, and to seeing them in that landing. So yeah. Well, condolences to the Sturchio family, contributed to the Spurs and making games fun at the old Hemisphere Arena. We appreciate you, Al, and may you rest in peace. Raul, we know everybody can follow you on X at RawFlow64. What do you got cooking for us on the sports AP Sports Radio side of things?
I'll just be doing Spurs games this year. I'm sure that I'll do the Alamo Bowl for AP Radio. I unfortunately, I don't see the Roadrunners, making a deep run or for a conference championship that could be hosted here. Unlikely. Alamo Bowl and possibly maybe the All-Star
Okay.
The American Bowl, the All-Star Bowl.
Yeah. The Alamo Bowl.
No, well, the Alamo Bowl and then the high school All-Star game.
High school All-Star game. Yeah. That's in the Alamo Dome, right? Yeah.
Yeah, in the Alamo Dome. Yeah.
Right. But again, congratulations, 38 years covering the Spurs. So
yeah,
here's to, like I told you earlier,
longer than you've been alive, brother.
Basically, yeah. But I hope you can have another 38 ahead of you, sitting next to you on press row. Or in the
I know you and I were talking about that. Another 38, man. That put me close to 100. So
you can do it. I know you can do it. Yes, break that. Look, hey, you know what? Pop will still be coaching, so don't worry about that.
There you go. Yeah, if Pop's still coaching and I'm still reporting, man. I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you, Raul, for taking time out of your schedule to join us here on Locked On Spurs. I couldn't think of a better way to start a new season with one of the oldest writers, cover guys for the Spurs than with Mr. Raul Flores. Yeah, 38 years.
Well, thanks for having me, and congratulations on the start of a new season with Locked On Spurs.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Oh, man. Well, I'm nowhere near 38, that's for sure.
Well, yeah.
I think I started this in... It'll be 20. No, it can't be 24. I guess, you take away like when I started out as a fan blogger before I got hired by News 4 and Fox 29. So probably 2014 is when I joined the News 4. So about 10 years. Yeah.
10 years.
10 years. Yeah. 10 years.
There you go. There's a milestone for you.
It's a milestone. Yeah. This is probably about 10 years for me. Yeah. So again, but if you include some of the fan stuff I did, then it adds me. But we're just sticking with major media outlets in San Antonio, then it's been about 10 years. Yeah. Because I got my break with News 4 and KBB. And then Ken's came calling and they scooped me out. And next up will be the AP radio to probably scoop me up. Who knows? Maybe Raul's going to be like, hey, go get this guy.
Exactly.
Yeah. But hey,
time to retire the old guy. Let's bring in.
By the way, Kens, I know you're listening to this. I'm happy. Okay, Tegna, I'm happy. Okay, I wasn't trying to say anything. Okay,
you can do both. You can do both.
I can do both. Yeah, I can do both. But again, he is Raul Flores. Follow him on X at Raulflow64 and hit him up. He'll probably chat your ear off with some good old time Spurs stories. Trust me, he has tons of them. He shared a lot of them with me. He'll likely share that with you. Follow him on X at Raulflow64 and subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Spotify Plus app. Pick a platform. We are there. And again, newsletters. We've got newsletters in the description below. Sign up. It is completely for free. So for Raul Flores, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode. And good luck Spurs tonight. Go Spurs, go. Right here on, and Dodgers too. I guess go
Dodgers.
Go
tomorrow night.
Go Yankees. Go
Dodgers
Yankees.
Tomorrow night. Spurs tonight.
Go Yankees.
Dodgers tomorrow night.
Again, he is Raul Flores. I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock in this episode of Locked On Spurs.